Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com, and this will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Friday, April 29th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown, so if you are someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about this tool and how it can be used to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. Before I get to the watch list, I first want to personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class that I'm offering. So if you enjoy what you see as I go and you want to learn more about this tool, how it should be used, and why it's just so powerful in terms of helping to build consistency, then certainly get signed up for the free class. Now, because the class is live, we're in a little bit of a unique situation here because I realize if you're watching this Friday morning, then yeah, you've already missed the class. Or who knows, maybe you have something on your schedule this evening and you can't quite make it, but it will be recorded. So as soon as the event is done and I get it uploaded, then I'm happy to send you a link. So just drop me an email, clay at claytrader.com. And again, whether you've already missed it because you're watching this Friday morning, or if you're, already have something on your schedule, just let me know, send me an email, and I'd be happy to send you a link to that recording. But if you can make it live, then there's a link to sign up down in the description box if you're watching at YouTube, or if you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage you can click to sign up. So yeah, definitely, if you can make it live this evening, I hope to see you there. A couple of quick clarification points. The market is still open for a few minutes. So this price over here on some of these stocks you'll see will be moving around. The candlesticks will still be moving around. So you don't need to go to the eye doctor. You're not seeing things. The markets are still open because I like to do these videos when there's a little bit of time because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement live as it plays out. And then also I'll be using the 30-minute time frame. So if you're a beginner, what that means is that each one of these candlesticks here, as they're called, represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one here, STAB, STAB, a pretty brutal name for a stock. But anyways, and what I find very interesting about this is first off, it's a price range that I know a lot of people like to play down in the penny stock range, and it's shown the ability to move very strong. But as I speak, you can see right now a very, very deep pullback. Now, what's nice about this pullback is at least it's eliminated the whole fact of, okay, am I going to be the sucker that buys the top? Am I suffering from FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. And no, that has been eliminated from the equation. The people that were, buying the top, the suckers, they were all buying up around there. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to be a guaranteed winning trade. I'm just saying that at least that worry has been eliminated from your mind. And if you do like to play pullbacks, then yeah, a pretty deep pullback here. However, within the grand scheme of things, still in an overall uptrend, which brings about a very interesting level, in my mind at least, moving forward, and that sits right down there at the 34-cent mark. Because, think about it. Even if the price goes down to 34 cents and levels out, what do you still have from an overarching standpoint? You would still have a big set of lows there. You would have these lows down there. And if you envision those as stair steps, then again, big picture wise, you'd still very clearly have stair steps progressing in the upwards direction. Now, I'm not saying that the price is going to bounce from 34 because there are no guarantees. But my point here is that, 34 cents is a more than valid, more than plausible area on the chart. It's just not some sort of random area that, has some logic behind it. So if this deep pullback does continue, then yeah, 34 cents could become very interesting. Next one, ticker symbol FB. Facebook had earnings, and what I really like about this one, and let me be very clear, I'm not trying to impress you. I'm not trying to imply this is a great skill or some sort of great discovery. I assure you a lot of people around the world are doing what I'm doing right here, drawing that line right there at $208. Now, why do I say all that? Because when you have people around the world watching the same level, wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can definitely produce some very dynamic movements. Now, as I just mentioned, there are no such things as a guarantee in the market. So I'm not saying that if the price gets up to 208 and then breaks through it, that is going to for sure create a breakout. But is it plausible to think that way? Is it at least a rational thought process to have? It absolutely is. So in other words, if you are some sort of breakout player, then that 208 mark becomes a very, very fascinating level. If you like to play more so pullbacks, let me squeeze this down here a little bit to give myself a bit more context. Then an interesting pullback point, at least in my mind, would be right there around the 203 mark. And then if you want a bit of a deeper pullback, whether or not that happens, obviously no one knows that for sure, but an interesting level right down there around the 199 mark. But at least in my opinion, the most interesting dynamic to watch moving forward is right up there at that 208 mark. So let's see what happens with it. Next one, AMC, and a very, very nice bounce of this one today. Although, as I've said in past videos, you still got to be skeptical because this bounce is occurring within an overall downtrend. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that this bounce is not, truly strong and that this thing can't keep going. But what I'm saying is this thing has bounced many times before. There is a bounce, failed. There is a bounce, failed. There is a bounce, failed. So here's the bounce right here. Again, does that mean that for sure guaranteed it's going to fail? Of course not. There are no guarantees. But all I'm saying is you still want to be a bit skeptical here until the price can actually prove itself, and quote unquote prove itself moving forward is going to be, can the price get up above and stay above that $16 mark? Because not only would it put it it being the price up above that red line right there, which is a resistance. It would also put the price up above that 50 period moving average, which I've talked about time and time again in past videos. But once again, the 50 period moving average didn't hit it exactly, but boy, did it get very, very close right there before starting to pull back down. So as expected, that 50 period moving average remains a very annoying level as far as the bulls are concerned. But even if the price does push up above it, again, you still want to be a bit skeptical because then you have that $16 mark right up above you. But if you can get above and stay above 16, that's certainly a nice step in the right direction. As far as supports are concerned, 15.20 still that key level, which it was violated this morning, but to give credit where credit's due, the bulls fought back, not only to get back to that level, but then to push well above it. So 15.20 is now going to be that level that, yes, ideally speaking, you see the price stay above. Next one, SQZ, and this is on for one reason alone, such a well-defined pattern. So I already mentioned it earlier. I'm not trying to impress you. I'm not trying to imply that this is a great discovery. A lot of people have noticed this pattern, which goes back to that whole talking point of self-fulfilling prophecies. So the top part of this pattern is going to be that 200 period moving average right there, that pink line. So I could draw a trend line like that if I really wanted to, just using that. And then the bottom part of this pattern, so let me get the support mapped out, right down here at $3.50. You can see several times the price has bounced off that level there. But then just let's make this all one color. So we have our resistance there. We have our support there. We have the big momentum move right there. And let's put our golf hole down here to make it more visual. And this would be known as a bull pennant pattern. So if you like to play these stocks down below $5, you like to play bull pennant patterns, here you go. This one definitely belongs on your watch list. Next one here, QQQ, which is the ETF for the NASDAQ market. So it's just basically an easy way of looking at what's going on with quote unquote the NASDAQ. And we had a very big bounce, but the reason why I have it the way I do is because what I'm actually very, very curious about is this a truly strong bounce? Because, I mean, check it out, the power. In fact, let me change this to green to represent more so a bullish dynamic of supports. But I mean, the power of trend lines. By using this point and this point, you can see that it did a great job of forecasting both these bounces right here. But now it just becomes a question of, okay, fair enough. It's certainly bounced off that level. There's no doubt about it. A lot of the tech stocks around the market are, bouncing because, well, given the NASDAQ is bouncing, therefore that implies that all those stocks are going to be bouncing. But like, what was it, AMC, in my mind, still got to be skeptical. Strong bounce, no doubt about it. Great to see that it did hold off that trend line and bounced off from it, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. So I'm going to zoom in here now so now you understand where that green line is coming from. And the next two main levels that I'm very curious about moving forward in terms of resistance. Whoops, that was a miserable failure. There we go, right here at, let's see, what is that? $330. You can see that this has been a pretty annoying point right there. Annoying right there. And then once again, annoying right there, the power of charts. But even if the price does push above 330, again, definitely a step in the right direction. But personally, I would still be skeptical because not that far off, you have the big old looming downward sloping 200 period moving average, which could certainly present a problem. But I mean, if the price can push above that level and then get up through the 200 period moving average, that would be a very genuine sign of power on the bulls' part that, maybe there's something bigger to come bounce-wise from the NASDAQ. But overall, yeah, the NASDAQ certainly bounced today very nicely right off that trend line. Now let's see if the price can build some momentum and keep on moving. Now, the next few stocks, you're going to notice almost a broken record because these are popular NASDAQ stocks I'm going to talk about. And given, the whole NASDAQ behaved as I just showed, which is why I wanted to focus on that one first, a lot of this should look and sound familiar. So first one here, AMD, clearly very, very popular stock and a very, very nice bounce. Nice to see it maintain above that $84 mark, which I've talked about previously. But like the NASDAQ, still got a pretty big problem point right up here at $91.50. You can see here, it's been pretty annoying. Price got somewhat within striking distance of it today, not quite. However, just because the price gets above it, like the NASDAQ, you still do have this overall looming downward sloping pink line, which again is that 200 period moving average, currently valued up there at 94. So again, don't get me wrong, very nice bounce, but there's still a whole lot of work to be done. So with AMD, I'd still be a bit skeptical. Next one, PLTR, again, nice bounce, but the different part here is that really just kind of shows how weak it is at least AMD and AMC were able to get up above their 50 period moving averages, which on my chart is denoted here by that purple line. But on this one, I mean, it didn't even hit the 50 period moving average at all. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't or anything like that. I'm just saying that it's not quite all apples to apples. This is more of an apples to oranges situation because sure, it did bounce very nicely today. But just within the general framework of things, I mean, this one didn't even test, let alone get above the 50-period moving average. So once again, I bring that up because, yes, it was a great bounce, but I'd personally look at all this with a very skeptical eye until, it can prove to be stronger. And that first step for this one to quote-unquote prove that it can be stronger is getting above and staying above that 50-period moving average. But overall, good to see that did get some separation up from the from where it was, potentially headed down around that 1025 mark, that green line down there. But again, nice bounce, very popular stock. And the nice thing about popular stocks is sometimes it doesn't take too much upwards momentum, and then people start piling back in, and it can, provide some very tradable opportunities. Next one here, SNDL, and wanted to do this because it's a very popular stock, and it's been a while, but there are just some very well-defined levels out there. And the main level that's very, very well-defined. So once again, I'm not trying to impress anybody. I assure you a bunch of people are watching this, so you do have that self-fulfilling prophecy dynamic. But look, check this out at 50 cents. I mean, basically, generally speaking, once, twice, 3 times. I mean, a whole bunch of times right there. And then more times today. And, the price is once again hovering right around this 50-cent mark. So the point here being is, from the general pattern perspective, which is what I'm about to draw, 50 cents is the support part of the pattern and definitely the bottom of it. And then the top part of the pattern, and you get ready for a very, very intense pattern. The very complicated sideways channel. And really, I know anticlimactic, but that's essentially what SNDL has been over the past couple of weeks. Is just, no, I suppose it's a matter of perspective. If you're a day trader, then, I mean, you could be, buy, sell. Maybe you're scalping, this is like your magical playground. But for somebody that cares about more so the general framework of things, then yeah, it's sort of just boring because all the price is doing is chopping back and forth. But that doesn't take away from the fact that when it comes to the whole, very identifiable pattern, so you have that self-fulfilling prophecy attribute of things. I mean, this is very, very straightforward. So again, bunch of eyeballs going to be watching 50 cents as that key level of support. Bunch of eyeballs going to be watching 54 cents as that key level of resistance. And going forward, it just remains the question of who is ultimately going to win out. Are the bulls going to win out with the push to the upside, or the bears going to win with the push to the downside? Let's see what happens. Next one here, TDOC. It's a pretty popular one. I'd say it's pretty popular because I know Kathy Wood, who's pretty popular. I think she's pretty heavy into it. But this one just got absolutely destroyed today. Absolutely destroyed. Think about the philosophy of a watch list. The general idea is, well, let's identify unique, interesting situations and then watch them. And if they behave in a way that fits into your personal strategy, then yeah, you could formulate a trade plan around it. It's not just, it's on the watch list, I automatically buy. No, you want to watch it and then make some decisions. And what do you want to watch? Well, again, unique situations. And I would definitely consider this one a unique situation, given how much it got destroyed. And this will mean a bit more to those you that have traded for a while. But if you have, I'm sure you've seen stocks gap down. And then the problem is after they gap down, they just keep bleeding and bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. But that was not the case today. The price leveled out and is now starting to head back up, which brings about the question of, okay, is there even more upside to come? Is this the start of an even bigger bounce? Now, to be fair, it's not. Maybe it's not because it is. There are no guarantees. It's a two-sided coin. So to be, realistic, maybe this is just a dead cat and down it goes. But again, two-sided coin because maybe it is the start of a much bigger move to the upside, and it keeps on rocking and rolling in the upwards direction. And again, that's why you want to have a watch list to watch and see what happens. Because nobody knows. Nobody knows if this thing is going to keep on bouncing. Nobody knows if this thing's going to roll back over. And if anybody says they do know, well, then they must have insider information, so you're probably going to want to disassociate from them. But for the people that don't want to go to jail, then nobody actually knows. But what everybody does know is this is a unique situation, very worth watching. And given the movement, in my mind, it's valid. It's plausible to think that given the gap down, given that it just went sideways and now started to go up, it seems plausible to me that, hey, you know what? Maybe this is the start of something bigger, so let's watch and see what happens. Next one, TSLA Tesla. My personal favorite that I'm always watching, always attempting to trade, and I did indeed trade it today several times. But what I, not patting myself on the back, but the power of charts, and granted, it didn't hit it exactly, but this trend line here, which I talked about, it got pretty close this afternoon after that big bounce before starting to roll back over. But what matters the most is there's going to be all sorts of people watching this general area. Let's just call it $900 because like the other ones we've talked about, just because you break a level of resistance right here, well, what's not too far away? In this situation, what's not too far away is that purple line there, the 50-period moving average. But this general area of right around $900, I think a lot of breakout players are going to be watching because, if you're not aware, Tesla, pretty popular stock, and there's going to be a bunch of people, bottom feeders, whatever you want to call them, that are thinking, if this thing can break $900, once again, to repeat myself, there are no guarantees, but on their part, it is a valid thought process to have is, breaking 900 could, start to, create some more momentum back to the upside. And I fully agree with that. Doesn't mean that it'll happen, but it's by no means some sort of random thought to have. So keep an eye on that $900 mark. That'll be a general area of resistance. If there is any sort of pullback, then the area that I'm most interested with is right down there around that $850 mark. But overall, those are going to be the two main dynamics that I'll be watching on Friday for Tesla. So that wraps up the top 10. Again, if you like what you saw here, you want to learn more about this tool, how it and should be used to help build consistency as a trader, then certainly get signed up for that free class. But like I said, if you can't make it either because you already have something on your schedule this evening, or if you're watching this Friday morning and you've missed it, go ahead, send me an email to clay@claytrader.com, and I would be happy to send you a link to the recording. Again, it is live though, so I can't just send it to you automatically. The event's got to happen, got to get it, recorded, uploaded, and then I'd be happy to send it to you. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy this format, if you would like for me to continue to put in the time and effort required to, create this content, then please help me out with some basic feedback. Hit the like button, leave a simple comment, say hi, tell me what you traded today, what you're watching tomorrow. But those two things really help me out, and not only just they help out the channel too, but they help out from a feedback standpoint and letting me know that I'm not wasting my time doing these videos. And as long as I know that people are enjoying, then I have no problem at all continuing to put these videos together. So everybody take care, have a good one. And yeah, like I said, if you can make it live tonight, hopefully I'll see you. If not, then just drop me an email and I'll send you a link to the recording.